Was this a standoff between US and Chinese warships? Were thousands of US troops and weapons deployed to the Philippines? In the first half of 2024, AAP's fact-checking team in the Philippines noticed a surge in social media posts about the disputed South China Sea. The posts exaggerated confrontations between China and the Philippines, even suggesting that the two nations were on the brink of war. AFP found that the network sharing the posts had a combined following of over 10 million people. False posts piggybacking on real news events are common, but why? In this case, the answer is ad revenue from decoy news sites, linked in the comments of the posts. I talked with Jane Cuyco and Eugenio in Manila, who tracked the disinformation for months. Another Konti Plodi in Bangkok, who spoke to a person who works to maintain and promote the disinformation network.
Hi everyone, let's start with the disinformation itself. Could you give me an example of a post that has been debunked?
So one post that was shared 35,000 times falsely claimed that American troops were on the way to the Philippines.
Originally posted on March 22.
This was shared after an incident on June 17 in which Chinese sailors had brandished weapons and rammed Philippine naval boats. So it was considered to be the most serious incident since the clashes began. The post implied that an impending larger conflict between Manila and Beijing would now happen and that Washington could be dragged into the dispute. But as reverse image search revealed, the pictures actually showed British troops leaving Afghanistan in August of 2021. The disinformation typically focuses on two themes, exaggerating the Philippines' military capabilities and suggesting an imminent war between the two countries. Posts are shared by what look like so-called military interest accounts. Once they've had a lot of interaction, the account will use the comments to link to what looks like a news article. This post is no exception. But when you click on the link, it doesn't lead to a news source at all.
Do people realize that these sites are not real outlets?
At first glance, this site looks like a legitimate news source. But they make a lot of bold claims about the South China Sea clash. But there's not a lot of solid evidence to back them up. And we also couldn't find any information about who wrote these articles, which makes their credibility questionable. The site is also packed with advertisements. When you look at it from a mobile phone, they actually take up more space than the articles themselves. Basically, it's to earn revenue from digital advertising. And some articles even had this headline, "I am a language model AI. Would you like help in generating content related to US Army soldiers?" It's a clear sign to us that disinformation networks like this one are really capitalizing on cheap AI tools to pump out false stories, and especially about the South China Sea.
Have you been able to get in touch with anyone on the inside?
How the posts are usually structured, they're very similar. In the comment section, they would share a link to the website. And when we check who was interacting with the post, there was this one guy interacting with these same pages. So that's when we began to piece things together. Also, upon checking the pages, we noticed that some of them were being posted from Thailand. And this guy was based in Thailand.
Cross-checking with the government registration databases of companies, we were able to identify and pin down the contact of a suspected admin of one of these pages. I called the person. What he told me was that he was not an expert on the South China Sea crisis, nor about military interests. He had to relegate himself to like copy-pasting, auto-translating from other languages and publishing these content. And he told me that he was only one of a group of people behind these content creation pages. It was an experience, looking at this same issue from the opposite end, from like people who actually create these contents for ad baiting, clickbaiting, rage baiting. They're just after the revenue, like the quick revenue that can be generated from a few clicks. And I think on the second call, he admitted that he didn't even write most of it. He just put it in like an AI program. But he did mention that the military interest page are not a big part of what he says is his group of content creation. It's more public interest, it's more celebrities, soap operas, and entertainment that generates more views.
What should people do if they see posts about conflicts or disasters from outlets they don't recognize?
I think it's good to assume that nothing is completely true until proven otherwise. If something seems dramatic or sensational, you better take the time to look up reliable sources and try to cross-check details to avoid spreading false or misleading information.
Check the comments, take some breaks, slow the process down. I've always seen a healthy number of social media users who are on top of the facts. They see the importance in just calling out or even leaving clues sometimes. That's like one of the first things I look for. So yeah, I think maybe I'll just leave it on that positive note.
Thanks for watching. Check out more of our investigations on our website and on YouTube.